Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a treat for all you web-slinging Spidey fans out there. We're diving into the top 10 Easter eggs that have been discovered in the new Spider-Man 2 game. These are the cream of the crop, the hidden gems that'll make your Spidey senses tingle. We're 2 weeks post-launch, so there might be more surprises waiting for us down the line. Just a heads up, we'll be dipping into spoiler territory, but nothing too earth-shattering from the main story. Let's quit the chit-chat and swing right into it. Before we get into the top 10, I saw this listed in a lot of threads about Easter eggs in the game. I don't really see this as an Easter egg, but it's definitely noteworthy. The tricks you can do whilst pressing square in the game allow you to feel as if you can style up your web slinging. But in this instance, while playing as Peter, if you go up to a really tall building and tap the L3 to begin a dive, if you press square and pull down the left joystick, Peter turns his back to the ground and pulls out a Rubiks Cube and solves it before you land / splat on the ground. This is notably why a tall building is necessary, as you need a baseline amount of distance to finish the process. Coming in at number 10 on this list, the returning Greg Miller shirtless Spider-Man meme.
Yes, thank you all. Thank you all for coming to this random press conference in a random park. As you all know, I am shirtless Spider-Man.
But this time, the addition of his YouTube co-host, Blessing. Him and Blessing return as shirtless Spider-Mans, dancing, potentially drunk on a rooftop in front of a camera. This returning meme is just too good to pass up. If I had some form of nostalgia for this game, I probably would have rated this a little bit higher. At number 9, just after finishing the drone missions that see you web slinging after drones at high speed throughout the city, that I was notably horrendous at, you come across what they were looking for, the Chameleon, who in this rendition is a disowned brother to Kraven. As you walk in, he plays a come and find me clue game, with one of them having you walk up to a piano that starts playing a melody. That Chameleon taunts is a familiar melody. This is a reference to a Web of Shadows moment that some players may have a nostalgic throwback to, but as someone who has never played it, I just sat there silently hoping to not interrupt the recording. Editing side note here, what even is this game? About halfway into the game, you go on a covert mission to find more about Kraven. On this mission, you come face to face with a tiger that you drug up and leave to die. Or that's what you thought. At number 8, turns out Dima, the spirited pet tiger to Kraven, has found a new home at the Brooklyn Zoo. If I was to be honest, I didn't believe this was the same tiger at first, but after a few more voice prompts, it kind of confirms it.
You're pretty cute when you're not trying to eat me. Who's a good Dima?
I don't know if this will hit the same for others, but in the lead up to Spider-Man 2's release, I finally purchased the Miles Morales game. And by purchased, I mean I upgraded my PlayStation account to the Tester Premium version for $3. The game was cool, fun, short, but its ending definitely impactful. I think because of this, our number 7, the Finn statue, is ranked a little bit higher for me. It's essentially the same place that you left it in the Miles game, which was one of the hiding spots Miles and Finn had used, and was where he left their science prize in her honor. Next up, less depressing, more cool, more wow. We have a bunch of cool location Easter eggs referencing other notable heroes in the Marvel Universe. The Sanctum Sanctorum doesn't count because it's directly mentioned in the main story and you interact with Wong via a note. First up, we have the ever-present Avengers Tower. This was in the previous games and is, notably, just as empty. The second was Fisks Old Building, now the Baxter Building, with this little familiar logo on top of it. I wonder what this potentially could hint to in future installments. And lastly, we have the newly returned Nelson and Murdoch sign/office. This had a bit of uproar from audiences that the sign was in at least the Miles Morales game, but notably blank this time. Did they move? No. Just like the Puerto Rican flag, which definitely was not the Puerto Rican flag, it just seems to be a bug. But it did seem to get Brian to imply potentially a Daredevil DLC appearance in a sequel, or even his own game? Speaking of cool Daredevil-related things, in a very close proximity to the Nelson and Murdoch building is what looks like a potential hand base of operations. There's much speculation on the internet if this was scrapped content because of the interiors that you not only can see into, but in some parts walk through, that also have NPCs interacting with. This also could just be further hints towards something Daredevil and Insomniac related in the future. At number 4, not only does Miles get a very cool Black Panther variant suit to don, at this location you can walk up to the embassy doors and do a Wakanda Salute. If it's not obvious, this is a tribute to the late actor Chadwick Boseman, who passed a few years back to cancer. This is probably ranked way too high, but I loved its moment in Into the Spiderverse and loved its evolved form in Across the Spiderverse. At number 3, we have the SpiderMan Point meme. You can trigger this by interacting with a random street crime that spawns in, that notably the other Spider-Man is also helping out at. Just a heads up though, this is not the only interaction that can happen after the fight. There's other variations of interactions that can happen with the other Spider-Man, and that's if you get the other Spider-Man to show up and it's not, say, I don't know, Wraith, who sometimes just stares at you. But that's even if Wraith or anyone even shows up. You might just be fighting by yourself, which is the more common occurrence. On the topic of Spider-Verse, there's also a lot of costume combos for Miles from those movies, but Peter only has Spider-Noir. But what if there was more? I say, change your suit to Spider-Noir, then increase contrast to max in the settings, then scroll down to high contrast setting and turn that on. Also, make sure to turn on the comic book effects because they are fun. Then boom, the only thing missing is Nicolas Cage giving a long monotonous monologue about his experience with the dark realities of no one appreciating the masterpiece that was Pig. And at number 1, if it was not already blatantly obvious about my bias towards the Spider-Verse movie universe, we get a direct tie-in on our side to it. Because notably, this Spider-Man was definitely in the movies, but you may have missed that since there were so many references in that movie to otherworld Spideys. But let's keep going. After you finish finding all the small spider bots spread across the city, you are led to a small hole in the wall. I say that because it's literally a hole in the wall via a portal, that is. But that portal should look familiar. You interact with someone that I gotta say must be a notable character from a PlayStation 1 Spider-Man game, but I never played it, so who's to say it's even real? She takes all the spider bots and makes a comment about Miguel, alluding to a potential tie-in in the future, but more than likely it's just a fun little nod to the fantastic Spider-Verse movies.
I'm just a bartender who does favors for people every now and then. And I've learned that rogue spider bots are dangerous and bad for business. Let me take those off your hands. Whoa. Thank you, Spider-Man. We can always count on you to do the right thing.
You're welcome.
And if Miguel comes looking for these, tell him finders keepers.
Wait, who's Miguel?
What the hell was that?
I wish I knew.
Alright folks, that wraps up our top 10 Easter eggs in the new Spider-Man 2 game. Did I miss any that you thought were spectacular? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, share your thoughts on the game. Remember, it's been 2 weeks since the release, so beware of spoilers in the comments section. So until next time, toodaloo.